people ask me, why are you doing this? This is crazy. The reason I wanted to do this journey is because, and I tell this to everybody, is I wanted to experience Africa in a unique way that you don't really get in the West. And my impression of Africa, and I think with a lot of people as well, outside of Africa, actually even within Africa, is kind of a negative connotation in the way that we portray this continent to be. So I was not happy about this, I was not satisfied. So I basically spent an entire year preparing myself to figure out how can I portray Africa in the most realistic way that I possibly can. And my conclusion was to walk it. And the reason to walk is because every step that you take, I'm basically forced to get from one village to the next. Without taking a car, I can't skip a tribe, I can't skip a village. I have to go from place to place. And I'm dependent on them. It's not the other way around. Usually when a traveler comes to any impoverished country or place, they are the ones who try to help. But now it's the other way around. I need the help. There were actually a few villages which I crossed through Mozambique and Malawi. Malawi actually considered one of the most poor countries in the world according to the World Bank. There were a few villages where I passed by where there were actually no food, no healthy drinking water. And the thing is, I had to be a part of that. I can never say that I was really in the same boat as they were in. However, I was able to experience for a short time what it felt like to not have the necessary fundamental needs such as water, food, and shelter. Actually, my biggest problem is always shelter. I'm always faced with how do I cover myself up? How do I protect myself from the lines that people always tell me about? How do I protect myself from the rain? How do I protect myself from people who want to steal my things? And this entire 2 years that I've been on this journey, actually a fascinating story has come about. And this story is something that it's so incredible that I need to share it with you guys. And that is the kind hearts of African people, all the way from South Africa to here. You know, you go from one village, and this is the funny thing actually, every time you go to a village, they tell you, don't go to the next village, they're bad people. And this seems to be like a common thing along Africa. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm gonna check it out. So when I walk there, when I get there, I finally arrive and they just give me, you know, a welcoming, all the food that they have, they give it all to me, even to the last grain, they give me everything that they have. And to my dismay, I'm thinking, well, do those people really know how kind you are? And the thing is, this is the biggest problem, is people don't travel, even within Africa, enough, even from one village to the next. And usually they're about 20 to 30 kilometers apart. And I'm thinking to myself, well, this is quite a sad story, because all these amazing people in every country, every village, every state within this continent, everyone's been so incredibly kind to me, so why can't they be kind to their neighbors, you know? And this is something that really baffled me, and I really wanted to find out like why that is. And I think my understanding is there's just not enough understanding between village to village. There are also some conflicts that I can't even get into, but there's a lot of, I think, a lot to do with they don't even know who their neighbor is. And that's, I think, the saddest thing. Since I've been walking, I've actually crossed over 75 different tribes. And that's actually, I can't even keep track of how many tribes, how many languages I've had to learn. It's been, it's such an incredible experience. I mean, there are the Turkana tribes, which is one of the strongest people I've ever met in my life. These guys are taller than me, they're darker than me, which to my surprise, I didn't think anybody could be darker than me until I came to Africa. So that was a really good experience actually. And then you have the Maasai, and the Maasai are just one of the most beautiful looking people I've ever seen. They're just really slender, tall, and they're nomadic, so they travel from place to place all the time. And they move with their herd, with their cattle. And I think one of the most exciting things that I've actually learned is how different every tribe is, completely different from the next. And they could be neighbors. For instance, there was a time I was in Kenya. I'm not going to mention which tribe it is. I think I'm going to leave it up to you guys to guess. But so there's this tribe where basically if you get to the hut and there's a wife and a husband, and let's say the husband left, the woman can actually choose whomever she wants to be in the hut with her. It's up to her. It's not even up to the man anymore. So and the way it works is basically the man would come to the hut and he would leave his stick. Because all the Maasai, now I gave it away. So all the Maasai, they leave their sticks on the side of the door, and that indicates that basically I'm in this house. So even the husband cannot come inside, you know. And then you go to the next tribe, even further down, and it's a completely opposite culture. And so, to my dismay, this has been one of the most incredible experiences. And the thing is, I put all this data together of languages, of people I've met, and different tribes and how they operate. And I think the number one issue that I see with this is the combination of the diversity of tribes and cultures within Africa. There are over 2,000 on the continent, and that's just the minimum. Right? There could be way over 5,000, we don't even know yet. And because there are 2,000 tribes, that means there's such an incredible diversity in Africa, beyond any other continent. And to me, I think this is one of the most incredibly powerful things that you guys have yourself. And I'm actually quite jealous that I can't even say that I'm directly from an African country. I really wish I could say, yeah, I'm Angolian, or yes, I'm Tanzanian, or Sudanese, and I wish I could say these things. I'm sure down the line my descendants have this kind of relationship. But, it's estimated that by the year 2100, that's about 82 years from now, the population of Africa is going to quadruple to about 4 billion people. So right now the population is just over 900 million people in the continent of Africa. And that's a huge quadrupling. That's a number so big that I don't understand. There needs to be a lot of urgency to really deal with that. That means there's going to be 4 times as much unemployment. There's going to be a lot more people to feed and to shelter. And I think getting together, and this is why I say the neighbors should really know each other, because I think Africa really needs to get along with each other before we can get along with anything else in order to tackle this issue that's about to come. It's going to come like a storm, and I'm really concerned about this. And this is kind of things that I'm seeing right now. Just as I'm walking, I can see that there are people without shelter. I can see people without drinking water. And I happen to be amongst that crowd for a short while, but I can only say for a short little while. So if there's one little message that I could say today, it is I would love to see the diversity of Africa, the 2,000 to 5,000 different tribes come together and really appreciate the differences instead of kind of going against it. And I think it would be such a beautiful experience. I think the continent could be so powerful, so massive, that the rest of the world will look at you in awe. So I hope that you guys have understood some of this. I haven't even really talked about my expedition itself, which is another story. So I've talked about the experience. So part of the expedition, I'll give you some numbers, is basically the distance from South Africa to Egypt is about 12,000 kilometers, right? So I'll be burning about 4.8 million calories. I don't know if you guys count calories, but if you look at your Nike tracker, or if you have a fitness tracker, try to get it to 4.5 million. I think that takes a lot of energy. So, and with this energy, basically, I'm able to see what no ordinary person really gets to see, which is how to survive, how to get help, how to receive help, and how to give help. And this has been my journey so far. Thank you.